you're on. Hold on, what's it? No, I think we're good.
Yep.
Yeah, we are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Nick's normally here running the show, so we miss him. So, good morning, everyone. We are here with Louie and our special guest, Yesenia. Thank you for being here. Greatly appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so Yesenia is here today for our Spirit Circle, which is sold out. She was in much demand, so thank you again for being here.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
Most grateful. Thank you. Yeah. So if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
So we can tell the audience who you are, what you do.
So my name is Yesenia. I live out in Santa Clarita, and I'm a spiritual medium. And so I started seeing spirits since I was a little girl, and particularly when my dad passed away when I was 7 years old. He was the really first big spirit I used to talk to often, and I just kind of grew from there. I've just been seeing a lot of people. I've been doing private readings from my home for the last 17, 18 years, and it's been great, and I'm just happy to be here with you guys.
Oh no, the pleasure's ours.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you. So what is a spirit circle? Let's start with that and then tell us a little bit.
Well, spirit circles when we all come together, and I invite everyone's loved ones to come through.
Okay.
Obviously with a group this size, I'm hoping to get to everyone, but it all depends on the spirit. You know, the loudest spirit is the one that's going to be hurt first. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
We always hear that the squeaky wheel is the one that always gets the attention. So my sole purpose today is to help those that are here living as well as the ones that have crossed over.
Okay.
It's very important. You know, sometimes we feel like when we're grieving, our spirits, our loved ones that cross over, can't grow spiritually if they know that we're still in need. So it's very, very important to not only heal the heart here and the soul, but also the spirit in heaven.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. So in a spirit circle, not everyone is guaranteed a message, correct?
Correct. It all depends on the spirit. It all depends on the loved one.
Okay.
Some spirits are very private, and in some cases, if it's something very traumatic that they don't want to share with other people, they may even say, hey, I'm here, but can you see this person in private? And therefore I would say, hey, I know someone's here for you, but see me after the reading and I will talk to you.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I'm sure a lot of people would love to have a one-on-one privately with you.
But the other thing is, you know, I've been, me as a medium, I've also been to other group readings with big celebrity mediums. And I never get chosen, right? So obviously I'm not going to be the one that's going to get chosen. However, there are sometimes messages that are for everyone. So only because I choose you and the message is for you. So I'll give you an example. My dad took his life. So my dad committed suicide, and he was 45. And so I was at one reading in particular where the medium is like, oh, you know, I have a father figure who crossed over, he took his life, he was 45, and I was ready to raise my hand. And then he said something completely different that wasn't for me, so I didn't raise my hand, right? However, at the end of the message, it was like, just know that he loves you, and that he's in peace, and he's happy, and he's with you all the time. And in my heart, I knew that my dad was with that person and was giving me the message as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So that's always a possibility that the message could be for multiple people.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So usually at the beginning of the reading, you know, I just tell everyone to have an open mind, an open heart, and, you know, and just pick up on all the messages that are coming through, because maybe it's not particularly for you, but it may be for your husband, it may be for your daughter or son, or, you know, or neighbor that you know that has crossed over, or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
but they're usually very, very healing. And the largest group I've done is 100 people.
Oh wow!
And not 100 people got a reading.
No.
Right? But the ones that did, you know, even the ones that didn't, at the end of the reading, they were like, "This was so insightful. Like this gave me more of an idea of how to communicate with my loved ones." So that's what I plan on doing today.
Okay.
Is also teaching the ones that are here today. Is like, you don't necessarily need a medium to communicate with your loved one.
Right. Yeah.
You could communicate with them, and they're going to show you signs all the time.
Right.
So my goal today is also to teach them how to feel, how to look for those signs.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, because some people, when they come to these kinds of events, they don't get a message, then they feel very disappointed, and then they feel like, oh, well, why didn't I get a message?
Right.
And like you said, sometimes it's just not the right time, or the loved one chose not to come forward, but you still give some tools and techniques for communicating on their own, so that they still leave with something.
Exactly, they'll still leave with something. I did a reading last week with a client, and she said my mom had passed away. Mom came through loud and clear, all signs, everything was there. And the daughter was like, but I've never felt her. Like, I've never seen her, I've never felt her, I've never heard her. She hasn't come in a dream, and she was really upset. She was, I'm getting married in 2 weeks, and I can't even fathom getting married without knowing my mom's going to be here. And so towards the end of the reading, I smelled tobacco. And usually my dad shows up to me, or I know he's around because my dad used to be a smoker. So anytime there's a cigarette smell, I know my dad's around.
Right.
So all of a sudden I had this really strong smell of cigarette, and I said, God, do you ever smell cigarettes? And she goes, all the time. It's so bad. I had to go to the doctor, and they thought I was crazy. She says, but yeah, no, I mean, it's all the time. I said, but your mom died of lung cancer. She says, yes. And I said, she was a smoker? And she says, yes, but I didn't want to relate that because I was so upset that she passed away from lung cancer because of the cigarettes. I said, but sweetheart, your mom's been showing you that she's been around the whole time. And she says, oh my God, I didn't know that. And so she started crying. She says, I'm sorry, Mom, I just refused to accept that it was you, you know. But she left, and she was very healed, and she was very happy, and I actually think she's getting married this weekend, so wait for her.
So why would a spirit not come? Why if like, for example, my father passed away 4 years ago. He's never come around. Why do some come around and some don't?
So a lot of the times they're very subtle.
Okay.
For the most part, the best way I can explain it is, you know, when something happens, you automatically think of your dad. That's because he's there with you. He may not open a door for you. He may not turn off a light for you. But for you, I feel like sometimes there may be a whisper, but there may be a light touch. And we sometimes confuse the touch with like, oh, it's my hair. Or it's a bug. Right. And it's them just saying, hey, Angie, I'm here with you. Even in the toughest moments. You just kind of know I'm being consoled, but I'm not sure how or why. And someone's helping me. So that's your dad. He's just not going to be very showy and say, hey, I'm here.
So that's good for people to know, because I know that we get a lot of people in here who are like, gosh, my mom or someone has passed away, and they don't come to me in my dream, and I'm a vivid dreamer, and I don't sense them. Why is that? I'm like, well, I'm wondering the same thing myself. So that's interesting. So, you know, I think we all kind of know it a little bit, that we know that our loved one's with us because it comes to us like that. Oh, that scent or that memory or something like that. So, but we just want them to open the door and turn the light on and off, right?
Exactly. You want them to be like super loud and be in your face, right?
Yes.
Like I said, for me, my dad, when I smell cigarette, I know he's around, right? Everyone has a scent. All of us have something. Where when you see someone and they just bring up that reminder that, hey, my mom used to wear that perfume, or that's also a sign. So I have my mommy who raised me. So I have my mom and my mommy. So I had two moms when I was growing up. And so when my mommy passed away, we released 100 butterflies. And so we knew with her, like, all the signs would always be, you're going to come around, it's going to be a butterfly.
Wow.
And one day I was so eager to hear from her, and I was really sad. And I'm like, God, Mom, if you can just show me that you're around. And so that morning I had a meeting. I went to the meeting, and then there was supposed to be 2 guests at the meeting. One decided she wasn't going to show up, and I was like, okay, I'm perfectly fine. So we're going on with the meeting. And then all of a sudden the girl shows up and she's like, I don't know why, but I had to come and say hi. She says, I'm not going to stay long. And I'm like, okay. She had butterfly earrings. She had a butterfly blouse. She had a butterfly necklace. And I'm like, of course you had to come.
Yeah, they're all there. And I know, I tell people that too, like, oh, you know, those are signs if you see something that your mom loved hummingbirds or whatever. But yet I don't want to believe it myself when I'm like, from my dad or my parents or, you know, whatever. So I get it. You just wanted to be flashy, like, here I am.
That's right. But do you wear your dad's ring? What's with having a dad's ring?
I think I do have my dad's ring. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah,
you should take it out. You should pull it out and use it once in a while.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I do. Don't tell my sister that.
I won't.
I'm just kidding. She's gonna be here.
I know.
No, yeah, I think I do have my dad's ring. I'll have to look for it. I think I do. Yeah. But my sister and I always talk because we're a very close family, and so since my mom passed away and then my dad passed 9 months later, so we're like, where are they?
Right.
You know.
Right. They're definitely around.
Yeah.
He feels very, very strong. So I'm surprised. I mean, one of the things is that he's always here with you.
Right.
He's always protecting you and making things happen for you.
Right. But I told my sister actually a few days ago. I said I felt him, like I was talking to him, but I don't remember what he said.
Yeah.
And so and that's
good confirmation.
Yeah, it was, and then this place has become a little crowded because you're here.
Yeah.
And so we're like we feel like Whoopi Goldberg. Like we're like.
Yeah.
Give us some space because it's just
crowded.
crowded.
I'm walking in, I was like, oh God. I can feel the spirits right here. They're waiting.
Yeah.
They're like, when's she gonna come?
Yeah, it's like they already knew.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so funny because at home, you know, I do all my readings out of my home, and so the spirits are there like 3-4 days before, and they go up and down the stairs, and sometimes I'm like, you're a little early, like, you know. But imagine walking through your house at 3 in the morning and seeing all these spirits in your back living room because that's their waiting room, right?
Yeah.
Like, guys, you guys are too early. Like, and besides, it's 3 in the morning. I look crappy. I said, so can you guys just leave and give me some space? And so they usually do.
What do you do to like have your own private time?
So I set boundaries.
Do you? Okay.
I definitely set boundaries, obviously, you know, in our bedroom. So just so people know, when you have private time, like bathroom, shower, stuff like that, you know, that's it's like your angels. Everybody knows this is private time.
Right.
No one's allowed to be around you or in your home during these times. So a lot, I usually just set boundaries and I just say, hey, from this time to this time, or I have 4 days off, you know, there's no spirits allowed in my home.
Right.
And then I usually ask Archangel Michael and God to just protect, be my soldiers, be my security guards, and just do not allow anyone. So I always close the portal.
Okay.
I always close the portal anytime I finish a reading anyways.
Right.
But when they know that you have a reading coming and their family is coming, they get too excited and they want to be there beforehand.
Right.
And spirits don't have a sense of time.
Right.
Oh, no.
So they'll be like 3 days early and they're like, oh, is it today? And I'm like, no, that's not today. You come back in 2 days, you know. Ask your guys up there when it's okay for you to come down.
Right.
And they're very, very respectful. I think I've only had 1 or 2 spirits that were so eager that I actually had to throw them out of my house and say, you're not allowed until you're reading. But that was because their passing was traumatic.
Okay.
And they needed a safe place to go.
Okay.
So we do get those.
So when someone's passed away from a traumatic experience, an accident or what have you, where do they go?
Well, everyone has a loved one in heaven, right? We all have guides. We all have spiritual guides. Obviously, if you believe in God, you're always going to have someone to guide you. There's one particular case where the female was a drug addict, and she got hit by a vehicle and was killed. And at that time, her energy was very dark. So they usually wander. Those are spirits that I call like they wander.
They're earthbound, right?
They're earthbound because they haven't really accepted 2 things. One, they haven't cleared their mind. They haven't accepted that they've crossed over, right? And usually a lot of them don't or have given up in faith or don't believe in God.
Right.
So it's in those cases where I ask my angels, my guides, or loved ones even that have crossed over in traumatic ways
Mm-hmm.
to go find this spirit
Okay.
and then show them the white light, bring them to me so that I
Okay.
can help them cross over.
Okay.
And I want to say in all of the cases that I've had like that, it's a long healing reading, but I have been able to cross them over to the other side.
Wow.
Yeah, because I've asked, people have come in whose loved one has committed suicide,
Mhm.
and they're like, where are they?
Right.
You know,
And-
so
and
that's.
I'll tell you, when my dad committed suicide, a priest would not give him a mass. Like, you know,
Aw.
they're not worthy, you know, they
Mhm.
took their own life beforehand. There's so many different beliefs when
Right.
someone takes their life.
Right.
Now, I believe, and this is from so many years of talking to my dad, and even anyone else that has crossed over in by their own hands, they're hurting.
Right.
They're very depressed.
Mhm.
They are sick, so they need that mental health,
Right.
right? They need that mental help, and so all of those cases, as long as that spirit is willing to receive help, they will go to heaven.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they have free will still.
Mhm.
They can always stay earthbound,
Right.
but when you have the right guidance and you speak to them in the right way and you get someone to help them that crossed over in the same way, it's kind of like, let me show you the path to where you can find healing and
Right.
peace.
Right.
Okay.
That's kind of sad. I know my friend's daughter committed suicide, and she had a hard time finding a church that would do the service.
Mhm.
And so she finally found one, and that particular pastor just said over and over again, she took her life. And he came off kind of negative, and I thought, well, why do we already all know that?
Right.
You know, why do you keep in opening that wound that is already so big and deep? And I just thought, that is just sad. And I was thinking about my friend's daughter, who's probably listening, thinking, well, I'm not worthy if the church doesn't think I'm worthy.
But
You know?
that's just another human
Yeah,
being.
it's just sad.
And they can make mistakes.
Right.
And that is very sad,
It was
because we
sad.
went through the same
Mhm.
thing. A few years ago, I spoke to a priest about it, and I said, how could you tell me that my dad is not in heaven when I
Right.
know he's in heaven?
Right.
And how could another human being who also makes mistakes
Mm-hmm.
be the one to tell me where my dad is?
Right.
You know.
Right.
So when we talked about mental health, he actually started saying, you know, the church has recently started recognizing
Mhm.
that mental health, you know, people with depression is a real thing. This is a
Right.
medical condition,
Yeah.
right? And so you know, people that cross over or that go into drugs when they're younger, for me, they're newer souls.
Mm-hmm.
When they come into this earth, they don't know how to deal with everything that's happening.
Right.
So guess what? When someone offers you something to calm you down or to make you feel better,
Mhm.
they get very, very addicted to that because they don't know how to deal with life per se, right? Or have come back and in their past life they were the exact same way and they haven't learned their lessons yet in this
Okay.
life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
But with the proper treatment or the right help, I think that they can overcome this.
Mhm.
Right. So everyone has a right to be in heaven. There was a girl I used to talk to, and she used to always be really mean. And one day I turned around and I said, you know what's the weird part? And then she says, what? I said, you know what the weird thing is? And she says, what? I said that even you have even you have a space up in heaven next to God. I go, even God has a space for you. And she's like, oh my God, I can never be mean to you again. And she used to play around about it. And I said, but I said, even the worst people, like, they will have to repent. They will have to go through all of the pain that they caused the other person. But even them, they have a right to be next to God. They have a seat there waiting for them if they choose that.
Right.
And it's hard for some people to understand that or accept that.
Right. It is.
Interesting. What's your reading or something you remember the most when a client or something that you did, in a circle, or something you remember the most, like I'm never gonna forget this one, or
Oh my gosh. Well,
or a few or whatever.
There's a few,
Yeah.
but there's one in particular. I had a client who came in, and I had been, talking to her about how her son was going to have a child out of wedlock, and it was just going to be under very unusual circumstances. And we did the reading, and I think I did a reading with her for about 2 hours. This was kind of like when I was first beginning and stuff, and she was so upset. She kept saying no, no, no. Everything was no. Everything I said was no. And I said, okay. And so she was so angry at some point that I thought to myself, well, I can either give her a refund or, and then I kept thinking, no, I know what I'm saying is right. And so she says, do you want to know why my son would never have a child out of wedlock? And I said, why? She says, because he's gay. I said, it has nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do. That does not mean that your son will never be able to have a child. And she walked out and she was so upset. So I let it go, and I was upset when she left, because I was telling my husband, how could that be? Like, everything, felt so perfect and blah, blah, blah. So she comes back a year later. But I'll never forget her name, but she made an appointment for her friend, and her friend came to see me, and so they walked into my house together, and I looked at her, and she's like, I know, I'm sorry. She was, can I have 5 minutes with you after you're done with my friend? And I said, okay. And so I did the reading, and when we were done, she came into my office. She goes, I have to apologize. She goes, oh my God. She goes, I can't believe that I forgot that I had a stepson. She says, and he had a baby out of wedlock. She says, but, she says, my son is gay, as you remember. And I said, believe me, I remember. And she says, well, he has a best friend, and she's lesbian. And so her friend wanted to have a baby, and just asked him if he would donate his sperm so that they have a baby under unusual circumstances. She says, and I'm going to be a grandma again. She goes, and I just needed to tell you, I'm so sorry. Like, I couldn't fathom, and I kept thinking, how could this be? She says, but I thank you for opening up my mind, my heart, just to be able to accept and know that they are worthy of being happy. And so when she left, I'm like, okay. But that whole year, I was just like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Wow.
So you obviously have grown from the beginning. So what are there any things that you do differently now that you did in the beginning?
I trust my gut more than anything.
Okay.
I mean, if the person is saying no, 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 I just tell them, then just put it in your back pocket and just let it go. And it usually starts happening a few months later.
Okay.
So I just always follow my gut, my guidance, and I don't step back from that.
Right. That's good. That is good, because sometimes it doesn't happen right away. The message you get might take a little while for it to take place.
Exactly.
So that's very true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
when you were a child, were you gifted as well? I mean, that you remember?
That I remember, yes. I remember seeing a great-great-grandmother when I was 3. And ever since I was a little girl, I always remember loving to listen to I loved listening to my grandmother and my great-grandmother, because they used to talk about dreams all the time. And so I feel like, not only do I feel how a person passes away, but I also get messages through my dreams, even through just like live visions. I hear them, I see them, I feel them, all of it. And so I have gotten much stronger, but I remember when I was 3 was the first time I ever saw spirit. I could tell you exactly what I was doing when I was 6 months old in a carrier. And then, of course, when my dad passed away, he was like the first one I really just sat and talked to for hours.
Because there's a lot of people that come in whose kids seem to be gifted, and it seems to be more and more. And it's nice because they nurture that gift. Most parents do. They don't tell them to be quiet, or you're weird, or let's get you some medication. But so that's why I was asking. So there's a lot of kids that are just very.
I think it's nice now they're starting to open up. Back then it's like, oh no, you're crazy,
I remember I couldn't say much to my mom or anybody else, because they would think I was crazy. I always tell my clients, your children, especially if they're like 6 years and below, they're your best mediums. And animals. Animals are really great mediums also, right?
They are.
Because they know when that spirit is there.
Sense.
They sense it, absolutely. So children, because they just came from heaven, right? And there's no one's told them to like be quiet, and no one's actually like covered them up or told them not to say anything. they tend to tell you more about what they know. They tend to tell you even who they were in a past life.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And so
Wow.
a lot of people will say, God, I feel bad because my mom never met my child. Well, no, that's not true. Your mom is the one that sent you your child,
Right.
or your dad is the one
Right.
that sent you your child, but they bonded up there before they even got here.
Right.
So they have a strong bond. So it doesn't surprise me when that child sees a picture and knows exactly who that is.
Right.
Because they've already bonded with them.
Yep, that's awesome. That happened with my son.
Did it?
Yeah, my grandmother passed away the year before my son was born, and when he was 3, he was communicating with her, and he was crying one day, and he said, "Oh, my grandma's not coming back." And I said, "Your grandma?" Because I'm thinking my mom. And then he knew my grandmother's name, and by that time I went and got a bunch of pictures, and I was like, "Well, where is she?" And he pointed her out.
Yes.
And he had never met her.
Yes. Isn't that amazing?
And she was, we were a very tight knit family, and that was the first family member that she didn't get to meet. So she hung out with him for a while.
She did.
Yeah, she did, and so it was amazing. So I know it's very real, very real. They're amazing. Kids are just open. Beautiful.
I did a reading for 5 kids, and their grandfather had passed away. And my client was like, "Do you do readings for kids?" And I said, "Yes. Anyone under 18, I don't charge them. If a child went through a traumatic event like I did, I wish I had a medium. I wish I had someone that can tell me, hey, you know, you can talk to your dad, you know, and this and that, and just teach me how to communicate with my dad. Let me know that he's okay."
Right.
So anyone that's underage, I was like, bring them on. Like, I would love to just sit down and talk to them.
Right.
And so she brought her 2 kids and then the 3 nephews, and I said, make sure you're clear with their parents that they're going to be okay to come. And we just started talking, and I was telling them, hey, your grandfather's here, and blah, 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 and started bringing them messages. And then when one of the kids was like, I remember when Grandpa and I used to do this, and oh, I remember, you're so right. And when they left so content. Like they had cried, they laughed, and they're like, but is he okay? And I said, absolutely. And so my client just reached out to me a week ago, and she says that one of her children, who's 10 now, said, hey, do you remember the medium you took me to? Can we see her again?
Wow.
And I thought that was amazing, because I'm like, how great is that, that they have a safe place that they could come to, and they can talk about what they're feeling or what they're hearing or sensing, and that they're okay, you know, in being able to talk about it.
Yeah, because kids they do want to know. I mean, if we're adults and we want to know, is our loved one okay? Of course, kids are wondering, where'd they go? Are they okay?
Wow.
So that's awesome.
Usually when something like, you know, something traumatic happens or someone passes away, everybody tends to forget about the children, right? We focus on the adults because, oh my God, the adults are the ones that are going through all the pain, but we forget that there's children that are just seeing all of this and then harboring that pain inside. And therefore, by being able to take that time to talk to them, how are you feeling? Do you have any questions about how your uncle died or how your grandfather died or whatever the case is? Then I feel that those children will learn how to communicate with their loved ones and know that they go to heaven and they're healthy and they're happy up there. And it doesn't leave that doubt in their head, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very important.
Gosh darn. Is there anyone that doesn't get into heaven?
Yes.
Because you know, you wonder about like Hitler.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it. Wow.
Yeah.
So for those spirits, they would have to go through every person that they caused the pain to.
Oh wow.
And they would have to relive that pain constantly.
Wow.
It's not until the person, the soul here has healed, will that spirit be able to heal.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So they, for me, and everything that I've learned is that they don't have peace. They'll never have peace until they go and they apologize and they try and heal everyone, but until then it's usually not.
So they can't come back until they've settled their debt, so to speak.
Exactly. They would have to settle their debt before they're allowed to come back.
What about karma?
karma.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, karma is very.
Not karma, reincarnation.
Oh, reincarnation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's of
Yeah.
course. I can tell you. I know I was born in the 1920s. I could tell you that when I look at myself in the mirror, it wasn't until a few years ago that I actually said, "Okay, Yesenia, you're not the girl you were in the 1920s. Very different, and you are you." So, have you ever walked by a store and you look at a mirror and you're like, "Oh gosh, that's me"? Have you ever done that? Yeah, because we don't recognize our bodies because sometimes we still have our memories from a past life, right?
Right.
And so it's not until you sit down and like, okay, this is you in this life now. You have to remember. I could tell you where I've been in my past life. I mean, yes. So we can come back as many times as we want. This is how I put it. You know how we go to school? We have elementary school, right, junior high, and high school, and even college. So every time you come back, you're trying to progress. You're trying to learn different lessons so that ultimately at some point you become like a master and you don't ever have to come back if you choose not to.
Okay.
So as spirits, we get to choose whether we want to come back and learn more or choose to just stay in heaven and not come back.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Something, why did I want to come back?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Why would anyone want to come back?
Yeah. Well, because you want to continue learning, right? You want to continue to. And here's the thing. Some lessons, because people will say, well, wait a minute. How could God allow me to be raped? Or how could God allow me to have been beaten up? Well, so in this life I chose all of that. I was raped a couple of times. I was molested as a child because not having a dad. Come on, no one cares what happens to you. And then on top of that, it's like I was beat with my first husband for 14 years. But I look at it and I say, God, if I could be with you guys today here, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. Because look at what's happened. Like I've progressed. I was able to get myself out of that, right? I'm stronger. I'm a stronger spirit. I'm a stronger soul. I can get through this because I've already been through it before, and there's nothing that I can't do in this life, right? So we just like when you go to school, you sometimes have to take subjects that you don't like math, science, right? Statistics. We hate all of that. That's when we have to endure death in this life. That's when we have to endure some really strong experiences in this life. And you just master it and get through it and say, okay, I learned it, I went through it, I'm okay to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I always wondered because, like, you see so much tragedy going on in the world today, especially with kids who are so innocent, and for me, animals too. And I just think, well, where was God?
Right.
Why did he allow this to happen?
Us as human beings, we have to be able to take care of our world as well. So a lot of the damage that we've done is our free will.
Right.
We have free will and we get to choose, and there's always God there telling you, because that's the gut feeling you get, hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
That's a bad thing for you to be doing. Why would you cause that pain on that poor animal or on that child?
Right.
And so that free will, you have to be strong enough to say, you know what, and hear it and understand it and accept it and then move forward with it. But a lot of new souls, a lot of us allow social media or other people's opinions to waver what we truly feel or desire, and then we cause each other pain.
I always wonder what about the free will of the person who was raped or molested. I mean, what about their free will? They didn't want it to happen.
Exactly. I didn't want it to happen. But it's made me even a stronger person. It's made me a better person because I would never want to hurt anybody else.
Right. So there's a lesson there, basically.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Not only that, I can sit down with another person that's been raped or molested or abused, and I can say, I'm here with you.
Right.
I completely understand you because I went through it with you.
Okay.
Right? And this is what I've done to heal myself. I spend more time in nature. I go to the beach a lot. I understand that this is a lesson that I had to learn, and I remove it from my soul, I remove it from my cells, my body, and I heal and I move on. How can I be a better person? I wasn't a bad person to begin with, right? But this is just something that I signed up for.
Yeah, in your soul contract, right? Now, do you think that soul contracts can be rewritten?
Oh my gosh.
I've heard that so many times before.
rewritten in the current life?
Well, yeah, that I've heard that people, because you know, I've seen my soul contract. I don't remember what it said, but some people are like, well, you could rewrite it and change it, and I thought, well, that's the one that I agreed on.
Right. No, I've never heard of that.
I've had people come in and say, oh, you could rewrite your soul contract, and I said, I don't think so, but that's my belief. I just think that you get the one that you have agreed to.
Right. That's exactly how I feel about it. My husband recently asked me, he goes, is there anything else you signed up for that you haven't told me about? Because I had a stroke 2 years ago. You know, so many crazy things have been happening, and it's just like, I don't remember that one, but I must have been like on the overachiever side. It's like, oh, I think I could do this, this, and this, and this because I've been here before. I think it'll be easy for me, right? And he's just like, oh my God. And I said, well, wait a minute. You signed up to be with someone like me, right? Because we've been married for 20 years now, and I'm like, so you signed up to be with me, and you wanted to learn and support me through these experiences.
Right.
And he says, well, I guess I did, didn't I?
I first saw my husband when I was 8. And I remember seeing him at the baseball field. I could tell you exactly. He was on a bike with the banana seat and the tube socks up to his knees and his cutoffs. And I was 8 years old, and he was 10 at the time, which I know now. And I said to my friends, I'm going to marry him.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I did. Yes. Twice.
And that's because you guys were together in another life.
Right, we were.
And you were already knew each other.
Yes. Yeah. I had someone tell me, a psychic, that my husband used to work for her husband, and she said, I want your wife to come and see me. And I didn't even know what a psychic was, but I knew in my soul what one was, but I had never been around when I heard of one. And then she told me that we had met back in like the 1800s or 1900s, early, and that she gave me a whole bunch of information. And she goes, you guys had to come back around. And I said, well, I met him when I was 8 years old. And said, I'm going to marry him. It was like from Sweet Home Alabama. I was like, I'm going to marry him.
That is so sweet.
Yeah, so we were meant to be, definitely.
Yeah, I know Michael and I talk about that all the time. When we come back, and he's like, do you really want to come back again? He says, I don't think we have to come back. And I said, well, if we should come back, I said, then we need to come back, and meet much younger, right? So we don't waste any time.
Right. I believe that we all have met sometime in our life.
Yes.
I've met Louie, I've met you somewhere in our life, and we just come back around again sometimes.
Absolutely.
I think, yeah. Okay.
Come back more like, oh no, not you again.
Not you again.
You were a little different in the last one, you're right.
You're nicer.
I know.
I mean well though. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
Kind of.
That's kind of, oh my gosh.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, we're a little odd. My husband says, I'll tell my husband, oh, I need some stuff done. He goes, well, tell your shop husband.
Yeah.
Louie.
That's so sweet. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but it does feel, like your family.
Oh
It
yeah.
just feels, hey, I feel like I've known you forever. Like when Louie and I talk, it's like, hey, I feel like we've known each other forever, right?
It does. And my journey just to get here, I told her like, whoa, who would ever thought I would end up here?
Right.
I was going in a different direction, and all of a sudden, I got stopped, and I just changed, like, I don't know, or maybe like a U-turn or something, and I end up here. I went to another shop, a friend of mine, in Riverside, Sacred Journey. She's a Reiki master teacher. She said, no, you gotta go to the Michael Lotus. Like,
What's that?
There's that.
Oh, what's that? She goes, take also no. She gave me the number. She goes, she looked it up. She wrote it down. Right when I walked out that door, I called her, and she goes, yeah, I'm gonna do some attunements, and this weekend. I'm like, I'm on my way. I'm gonna drop out the deposit. So.
That's great.
And.
He's been here ever since.
Yeah.
And I'm incredibly grateful.
That's good. Yeah.
I absolutely adore and love him. He is like, he's amazing. I'm grateful for the friendship.
Yes, and you guys have great energy together, which is wonderful because you can feel it throughout your store as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we try hard. We have good intentions. That's the one thing that I could say about the both of us is that's what we're on the same page about.
Yeah.
Is really about helping people and bringing some healing. And building a spiritual community. So it's not about us. And I don't feel that we have the ego that some people in this business have. But yeah, I'm incredibly grateful.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think You're right. In this business, there are a lot of egotistic
Yes.
people. And they let this get
A
to their
lot.
head. And
A lot.
I have a mentoring group. Louis is part of my mentoring group, and I've been mentoring 4 students for the past 6 months. And they've been developing great. I mean, they're wonderful, right? And I tell them we're equal. You and I are equal.
Yeah.
Louis and I are equal, right? There's no reason for me to be bigger or lesser. Like,
Right.
we're on the same path. We're on the same journey, trying to find peace, tranquility, like peace for our world, right? And so there's no reason to feel above anyone else.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Not in this kind of work.
No.
Well, not really in
No.
anything, but especially in the spiritual community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what do you see in the future for you?
Oh my
Any
gosh.
projects,
Future
or
for
what are you
myself. I'm currently writing a book.
Oh.
So I can't give you the name of the book yet, but it's part of my life story and how I became a medium, and I've always been a medium, but how how I met my husband, things that have happened to me in life, and just trying to give people the courage, the will, or the desire of continuing to live, because when things happen to you, given that my dad had taken his life, we automatically feel like, hey, well, if he did, I could do it too. Like, no one's gonna miss me, right? But when I was 12, I exactly wanted to do that. I took a lot of pills. I had just been raped, and I wanted to die. I wanted to be with my dad. And remember, I crossed, the tunnel. I remember seeing the white light. I remember seeing my dad clearly, and he was on his knees. He was waiting for me to come to him. And I'm walking to him, and now I'm wanting to run to him because, like, I'm not going to miss this opportunity.
Right.
And he had such a beautiful smile. And then I remember Jesus appearing on his right hand side, and he says, "It's not her time." And I looked at him, and if you can imagine a 12-year-old arguing with Jesus, like, what do you mean? Like, I don't belong down there. All of this that's happened to me. And he says, "You have bigger things to do in life." He goes, "You can't come here. Like, there's no room for you right now." And I remember throwing myself to my dad, which I always call as like my leap of faith. And I woke up and I was so mad. I was so mad at God for a long time, because I'm like, you're my God. You're supposed to accept me and help me.
Right.
And now when I look at him, I'm like, I'm so sorry I did that to you. I understand it now. I understand it now. And so my book is hopefully going to be done by the end of the year, and then I hope to have it published. And another thing is I'm really trying to tap into my Mexican culture, with the Hispanics, and and I do speak Spanish, and I just really want to be able to reach out to everyone. And I always say, let me reach out to the people that can afford a reading that's $500, $600, $700, right? Let me reach out to the people that I can help and bring some peace into their world, into their life, to know that their children or their husbands or their families are okay in heaven. And so that's my
awesome.
goal for the near future.
So when will it be done?
Oh my gosh.
Published? How long?
Well, I want to say it's going to be done by the end of the year.
Okay.
Then I have to find a publisher.
Right.
So I'm just letting my angels take that over and take responsibility, and they're going to send me the right person that's going to want to publish my book.
Right.
And I know that it's going to help many, many people. Ultimately, if not, I will self-publish, and I will just sell it like everybody else does.
Go.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, so
I'm
super
excited.
excited.
Yeah, me too. So when will you be back?
Oh my gosh.
To the Mindful Lotus.
I know. I hope.
You're not even, you haven't even done anything yet.
Yeah,
We're
we
like,
started.
when can we get you back on the calendar?
Yes, well, I don't know, maybe in a couple months we'll come back and do
Right.
another one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I was thinking too, maybe we can do one in Spanish.
Absolutely.
That way
Yes.
people start seeing what's out there, not just it's metaphysics and they think it's, witchcraft or whatever, but that way Hispanic, the Latino community can see what we're really doing out here,
Yes.
Reiki, they don't know what Reiki is.
Right.
They only know brujeria and limpias, that's it.
Right.
But with us, it's different,
Exactly. No, I think that would be great. Where it's all Spanish speaking, and we can talk to them about heaven. We can talk to them about how communicating with their loved ones, so seres queridos, right?
Yeah.
And knowing that that it isn't all about, I have someone put a spell on me or anything like that. It's not just a limpia, but how we could, as human beings, create our own white light. You know, create that peace in our mind, because we're in charge of that, you know, not anybody else. Now, if someone was to tell me, this is how I think a curse works. If someone was to tell me, Yesenia, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, every single day, then I'm going to start believing that.
I believe that.
And I'm going to start growing. But if you tell someone, God, you're so pretty, look, you're so healthy, you're healthy, you're healthy, then guess what? Then I'm also going to believe that in myself. Like, hey, I'm healthy, right? It works both ways. It could be a positive and it could be a negative.
I believe that 100%. That's why I think a lot of times when people talk about, oh, someone done something to me or put a curse on me, I'm like, well, you set that already in your mind that someone did. So you make it real.
Yes, you've allowed it, and therefore it's taken over you, and now you believe it, and guess what? Now you're manifesting it.
Right. Now your mentorship, how can someone do that? So if one of our listeners decides they want to have you as a mentor, how would they go about doing that?
So they can go ahead and reach out to me. I'm going to have another class starting in about 2 months. I really wanted to kind of get this class going.
Good, okay.
You know, it's free of charge right now. And then we meet once a week for about an hour, and so we start off by, you know, just reading each other, you know, giving them tips on how to open up, like how to open up their crown chakra, how to really, really ground yourself, right? How to protect yourself. So when you do go into a reading, you know, you're there and you're just really you're just transmitting the information to the people, right? You take your own feelings out of it, and then so I teach them all of that. I teach them protection, how to open up with the reading, how to close the portal, open or close portals, right? How to get yourself even stronger. So it's just about commitment, and about being there and wanting to learn.
Okay. And do you pick and choose these people according?
Yes.
Okay. So if someone were to reach out to you, it's just not, you can't just sign up. It's got to be
correct.
You've got to be kind of chosen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. My angels will tell me exactly who needs to be in the class, and then we go from there. And I try to keep the class. Obviously, this is my first one. I really think that 4 to 5, you know, mentees is a perfect amount of people, because then you get to work with each one, and spend that time with them.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm sure everybody's going to want to sign up. So it's good to know that, you know, and if they're not chosen, that doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
That
does not. It just
means
not
yet.
Exactly. It's not the right time for them yet.
Okay. Just so people don't think that you're like, no, we don't want you. Just you're not ready for it yet.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. So I'm sure people are going to start signing up or trying to. Right?
Yes.
I'm sure everybody in this class today is going to see the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all going to be signing up.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good, because people do need mentors. And they need the right kind of guidance, and not, you know, take them for a ride and charge a whole lot of money, even though you're worth. You got to have some worth, and you got to you know, offer, you know, money for the service.
Correct.
Or you know, so, but a lot of people have a hard time with taking the money.
It's funny that you mentioned about talking about children with gifts. I feel that you're going to start working a lot with children with gifts.
Oh yes, yes, I do feel that as well.
Kind of like that. I don't know if you've seen Psychic Kids or something. I feel that's going to start going your direction now. I feel it like within the next few months.
Thank you. Thank you.
That'd be awesome, because kids need it too.
Oh yes.
Oh, I wish there was people back then trying to help us. Back then it was just like, you know, back then of course, you know, Hispanics are like, shut up, you know, you sound like you're crazy and stuff. So I'm like, okay.
My parents didn't do that to me.
No?
They were very nurturing. As weird as I was, I was weird. But they didn't look at me as that, and my mom never said, you know, don't talk about that.
Yeah, in our culture, it's more you said, over here in America, you see a therapist. Out there, you see a priest.
Right.
So it's kind of the priests are like, don't talk about that.
I think our whole family was weird though, so we were all into the spiritual stuff. So we weren't, you know. I guess that's
what's interesting is that both my grandmothers on my dad's side and my mom's side, right, both Hispanic. My grandma on my dad's side was born in Texas, but her mom, which is my great grandma, she was Native American. So I'm not surprised that I got spirituality or gifts from both sides.
Right, exactly.
And I used to be able to just sit there and listen to them for hours. And they used to talk about dreams, and they used to talk about different things like that. But they never sat, I was never allowed to ask questions. That was the thing, like, you're not allowed to ask questions, but I just listened and I soaked in all of the information, which was amazing.
That is amazing.
I wish they were still alive where I can sit and talk to them now and say, gosh, you know.
That's me too. I wish I would have spent more time. I mean, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, but I didn't ask all those things that I would have asked now.
Right.
You know, when you're a kid and you're playing and you know, high school, you get boyfriends and, you know, football games, and you don't care about where they come from or their ancestors. And now I think, gosh, I wish I would have just sat and wrote everything down.
So it's amazing you say that, but you actually can, because there are times where I have certain dreams and I'm trying to figure out, what are you trying to tell me? I will call upon my grandma. Grandma, come help me and show me. And so I start writing. And when you start writing all of that, it's like you're communicating with them. So you'll even look back at all of your words and you're like, God, these are words that, or this is something that I didn't even think about, right? But it's because they will feed it into your mind and then you're writing it down, so they're actually talking
through it.
Exactly.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, try that. It's fun, but it's also very touching, because you know that you can reach and you can still talk to them and that they will still answer you on paper.
Right. And anyone can do that.
Anyone can do that.
So that's good for the listener out there, that they know that they could also give it a shot. And it might not work at first, instantly, but give it some time, right?
Yes, well, and here's the thing, if you doubt yourself,
there you go.
Then you've already disconnected.
Right. Okay.
Right? But
so
when
just
you're
believe it.
Exactly, open heart, open mind, right? And just be open to them coming through. And write down and I always tell people, write for about 5-10 minutes. Just write. Whatever comes into your mind, because you're just allowing and you're talking to them, and here's the important thing. When you channel, you always want to ask God to only channel that spirit. And that spirit only. Nobody else. And when you're done, you close the portal. So you thank God. So for me, when I close my portal, it's almost like I tie a bow on my little bag, right? And I'm just like, okay, I know you're still there, but I'm closing you up because this is now my time. So important for our listeners to do that.
Okay, so when they're doing some channeling or writing, and then when it's done, you ask God or your angels to close that portal.
Exactly.
But you only ask for that one spirit of your grandmother, your loved one, whomever it might be, to come through, and then when you're done, you close it. Okay.
Your intentions
that's a good point to make.
Yes.
So.
Another question. When you see spirits, do you see the person, or do you see orbs, or what is it that you see?
Oh my God, I see it all.
Orbs, energy. That's all I see. I never see the whole image. I see maybe like a blur going by, or like 3 in the morning, going downstairs to get a snack or something. I said that I know I'm always gonna hear me snack. But when I go downstairs, I see all these lights going by. I'm like, okay, guys, not tonight. Not tonight. They're having a party down there. But I never see orbs all over. That's what I see. I don't know what you see.
Yeah, so I actually see full figures. So that I see when they're taking up all the chairs in my downstairs living room. I'm like, okay. And sometimes it's like, at first I would get scared. As soon as they're coming down the stairs, like I could already feel them. So I'd be like, don't scare me. I'm just walking. I'm letting the dog out. Like, don't scare me, because sometimes they could still, if you're not expecting them, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And that's when they're more active, is at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Is that why, I mean, is that because you're a medium, you see the whole image? And maybe because I work energy, I see orbs, or? It
could be. I don't have the proper answer for that. I think that, I believe it's just the way we develop, or how we want to see them. So sometimes I feel them, sometimes I see their whole body, especially if they want me to see. God, there was one case in particular, and it was the first paranormal that I did at a home. And this was kind of my testing grounds at the beginning. And I'd never been to the home. All I knew is that we were going to go to a house and it was haunted. And so the days before that, probably like 2 weeks before the actual day, I started getting vivid dreams of of what had happened. It was a tragic accident that had happened in the house. And so I would see this dog, I saw the house, and it's interesting because I opened my eyes, and in the female that passed away, I could see half of her face was gone, half of her shoulder was gone, and I it took me back for a second. I'm like, oh my goodness, right? But then I had to remember, you're here to heal. You're here to heal her, so you have to stand and you have to see past that tragedy. And so it was a home where the dog turned on the owner and he killed her and he ate half her body.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. There was a lot of healing for that family. We did heal them. I was able to heal the daughter. I healed the spirit,
Mhm.
you know, the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, the people that found her. It was tragic, but believe it or not, the daughter and I are still really good friends. The
Mhm.
friends are still really good friends with us. But when you say, you know, good or bad, I could see it.
Mhm.
I could
Yeah.
see it. So.
Well, I think I think Nick's called me twice.
Oh, he did?
So I think he's outside.
Oh.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
But, so I think we should probably wrap it up.
Yes,
Because
thank
it's already
you.
gonna be 10 o'clock
Yeah.
and I want you to be able to have some time to sit and rest a little bit, yeah, so
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank
I can't wait to be
I'm
back.
incredibly grateful, thank you again, so,
Thank you,
we're
Angie.
gonna
Thank
have,
you.
you wanna give your phone number out and your,
You
Instagram?
know, we'll go ahead. My Instagram is Healing Hearts, Healing Souls.
Okay.
And my website is yeseniaberbier.com. And I don't know my phone number offhand, but I do have business cards, and we'll make sure
Well, they
you
could call
post
the
all of
shop
that.
and then I'll pass that information on, so at least
Absolutely.
I just want to be able to give that information to the people who are listening, so,
Yeah.
thank you again.
Thank you
so
I'm
much for
incredibly
having me.
grateful, thank you,
It's an
thank
honor.
you, yes,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you. Mute this.